Hey, welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbea, and we are on Let's Talk Radio, WLTK-DB.com. Thanks for joining the show. This is episode 39, believe it or not, October 12th, mid-October here. And of course, it's spooky month, right? October, that's when all the spooks come out. But welcome to the show, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. I've got special guest Alan Wright on tonight, and he is a spiritual healer, a medium, and an author, quite an author. So we'll be getting into a lot of that here in a little bit on the show. And go ahead and say hi wherever you're watching from, whether it's the website, WLTK-DB.com, or if you're watching on Facebook, at WLTK-DB, or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch, wherever you're watching from, say hey and where you're from, and love to give you a shout out. But thanks for joining the show. And as I mentioned, we got lots to talk about tonight. And of course, I'll start the show out with all the crazy stuff I got going on. We got Ghost Walk tours happening right now, and I've had some really great groups, and even had, I think, some personal experiences and definitely some strange things happening um, with electromagnetic fields during our tours. So that's been a lot of fun and really great group so far. And you can go to PortGambleParanormal.com if you want to see future dates coming up for the Ghost Walk tours of Port Gamble, Washington. So if you're in Washington, Western Washington, and you're looking for something to do, hopefully you'll check that out. And I've got special investigations, which are public investigations, starting in November of the Walker Ames house. So hope you can join me for one of those. It's basically 3 hours in the Walker Ames house, and we really go through it thoroughly and see if we can collect some interesting data that might yield some evidence of the paranormal or at least the unexplained. So it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you can join one of those as well. And this weekend, I can't wait. I can't wait to get down to Centralia, Washington for the Centralia Downtown Festival's Paranormal Conference, Dark Market, and Ghost Tours. So I'm really hoping I get a chance to go on one of the Ghost Tours that are basically run by the Seattle team, A Ghost. And so there's going to be a paranormal conference on Friday starting at 4. I'm kicking it off and no pressure. So I'm really excited and honored to be a speaker there. There's also going to be Jake Rice from A Ghost and June Nixon from A Ghost speaking, and also Karen Frazier. And I've had Karen and June on the show. June's been on a couple times, so great friends of the show here. And I got to get Jake on the show. He's a wealth of knowledge as well. So we're all going to be speaking at the conference this Friday. So you want to go to centraliadowntownfestivals.com and then / paranormal conference. Check it out. And then there's what they call a dark market. That's going to be all day on Saturday, and I'll be set up there. So come by and see me, and you can get information on the upcoming Port Gamble Ghost Conference. That's November 5th through 7th. But swing by and say hi at the table, and I'll be doing readings if anybody wants a reading. So hopefully we'll see you there. And I'm, again, super honored to be a part of the first paranormal conference there. And I'm even more excited to be able to go check out some of the haunted locations in Centralia. And there's quite a few. And there's quite a storied history in Centralia as well. It was pretty rough and tumble there early on. So really excited for that. And of course, just mentioned the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. It's the 12th annual. And we're doing in person and virtual. So trying to make it easy for anybody. So if you want to do the in-person tickets are $45 for the whole weekend, Friday through Sunday, or you can get a one-day pass for $30. Excuse me, $30. And the virtual tickets are $20, and that gets you front row seats to all of the speaking presentations by the featured speakers, and also 2 panel discussions as well. And the panel discussions are one of my favorite parts of the conference, just because you get to hear everyone's different points of view and perspective, kind of all in a row. So that's a lot of fun. So for $20 from the comfort of your own home, on your own couch or your chair, or Tree, wherever you like to be. You can watch the conference there. We also get to investigate multiple locations in Port Gamble, and so there's investigation tickets you can purchase that are $10. Or if you want to investigate the Walker Ames house or the Franklin Lodge, the Masonic Lodge here in Port Gamble, those are $20 each. And then we've got some great classes by some really great people in the paranormal field in the Pacific Northwest, and those are $15 each. And you can learn so much, and so that's what we like to do there. And plus, it'll be good to see people either virtually or see them in person. So go to portgamble.com for that, and go to the events tab, and you'll see the Ghost Conference page there. So hopefully you can check that out, and I'm really looking forward to getting that going and seeing everybody and having a blast throughout the weekend. And then, of course, we have a WLTK-DB.com station event, and it's gallery readings for the world. And we're pushing the date back because we realize everyone might be so busy at the end of October, right? And that's when everyone's wanting to go do Halloween stuff. And so stay tuned for that. We're going to push the date back just a little bit, and we'll have more information on that coming very soon. But it'll be $40, and you get 3 readers that will be trying to do readings for as many people as we can. And so I'll be one of the readers, and also you get Renee and Missy Hart as well. So you get 3 psychic readers for $40 for a couple hours of what usually turns out to be a great time in a gallery reading. So keep tuned at WLTK-DB.com for that, where we'll put all that information on there. And of course, I think there'll be a Facebook event as well. So stay tuned. And if you don't catch the shows live, like most people, because we're all busy, right? Definitely you can get all the archive shows right on the website, or anywhere you like to get your favorite podcast from. So please check out all the shows on the station. There's a lot of great shows and a lot of great content going out every week. So if you're into the paranormal, cryptids, whatever it might be, psychic work, this is a great station, and encourage you to please go check out all the other shows. There's a lot of good stuff on there. So, well, enough about what I've got going on, because there's a lot there. Just remember to go to portgambleparanormal.com. And one more thing. Boom, sporting my long sleeve station shirt. We have a shop on the website. So check that out. You can get Haunted Voices shirts, Afterlife Chronicles shirts, Paranormal Pete Show shirts, and station gear. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can get something. So hopefully you'll check it out. This shirt fits great, and it's perfect for this time of year. In fall, when we get to hoodie, sweatshirt weather, just love it. And so my guest tonight, he doesn't really get into too much cold weather. He lives down in Arizona, and he is an author, and he's an empath and a healer, sensitive and spiritual medium. So this guy's doing some good work out there. He's also co-host on Crossover Connections with Lori, his wife, and Barbara Petrone, who's the founder of the Crossover Connections. And he lives in southern Arizona, and he's just got a lot of books, and I can't wait to talk to him about that. So please welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show on episode 39, author and spiritual medium, Mr. Alan Wright. Welcome to the show,
everybody.
Sir.
Hey. Hi, Pete.
Welcome. Last time I was going to have Alan on, the technical gremlins got a hold of us.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. So we're glad to get you back and glad to get you rescheduled. And
you know what I did this time?
What's that?
I actually blessed my phone. I cast out any negativity and any negative spirits that might be in it, because it was really giving me fits. I was on a show the other night, and I didn't even get on the show. I didn't even. They couldn't get me on. So
That's so,
it was pretty bad. So I had to do something to it. I blessed it, and it's been working beautiful now.
oh, well, you must have taken care of it, getting them negative
Apparently,
spirits out of there.
apparently.
Yeah. Well, so I mentioned you're down in Arizona and you're in the Tucson area, and things are really looking like fall up here in Washington. What's it like down there for you?
Well, it's really strange here in Arizona. Phoenix only has two seasons, winter and summer. And
Right.
well, actually, it's more like summer and spring. You know,
There you
it
go.
does. But here in Tucson, it's a little bit different. The day before yesterday, it was like 89 degrees here. No, some about 89 degrees here. But today the high was 69, so it dropped by a few degrees just in one day. You know,
Yeah.
and my wife told me just a couple of minutes ago it's 57 degrees out. You know, so we get our cold weather here in Tucson a little bit. So
Yeah, you're getting froze out, and I think that was maybe the high today was 57.
really,
But I'm up in the land of also two seasons, rainy or not rainy.
yeah, that's true. Huh?
Yep, yeah, that's where I'm at. Well, thanks for coming on the show,
Yeah.
and you've been doing your work for quite a long time. Tell us a little bit about what you do on a kind of a regular basis, other than writing books um, like crazy. You know, what is it that you do in your work?
Well, I give readings for people who would like to know how their life is going. Uh, I
That's
also
cool.
sometimes they want to speak to or know, find their past grandfather or grandmother, you know, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, plus, I do healings, and
Nice.
I the healings work. I have we have four dogs and my wife, and I give everybody blessings here in the house, including my wife. I give our dogs blessings all the time, and uh, plus, you know, I have people that email me asking me to give them a blessing or their spouse or something a blessing,
Yeah.
and I do that. I'm on that show, Crossover Connections,
Yeah.
every other Sunday. Um, Eastern Standard Time is 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Here in Arizona, it's 3:30.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's going to be changing uh, with time change here coming up. You know,
Yeah. Those darn time
but
changes.
we don't have them here in Arizona.
Oh, well, that's why we're in the same time zone right now
Yeah, that's
as
right.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So, what's been with crossover connections? You know, how long you been doing that?
I was invited to be on Barbara's show back in uh, 20, 2018, I guess.
Okay.
And then we crossed bases, you could say. Once again, we got in contact with each other once again. And we started talking, and uh, we kind of kidding around. I said, well, I could be a co-host on your show. And she said, would you? And, you know, and one thing led to another. And I've been on there now since 2018, you know.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
she's really a great woman. She's a great medium. I mean, she's spot on. Um, she gives a reading, and we have people that come back, you know, all the time saying how good her reading was, and everything she said came true. And she's given me readings. She's given Lori readings. She's just a great woman. And the show, we did a special show last Thursday, and after the show was over, she sent Lori a screenshot of the number of people that was watching the show at that time, and it was 8,700 people.
Congrats!
And
That's awesome.
yeah, I went all around the world too, and they watched it in Japan and Australia and all over the place. So
Wow.
when we first started out, we were lucky if we had 30 people in the audience. You know,
I know
we
what
used to
that's
say,
like.
"Hey, yay, we got 30 people here! Yay!"
I know what that's like.
Yeah, really.
Oh, that's funny. Well, congrats on that show. That's
Well, thank
awesome.
you.
The more you can get your message out there and
Yeah.
what you share with people, that's awesome, and congratulations on that. That's
Well,
really,
thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
that's
very much.
that's really neat. I'm gonna have to go look it up because I did not know about it.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have to go look it up, and I'll add a number to that. So
it's on Blog Talk Radio, and it's crossover connections with Barbara Patron, and it's on, like I said, every other Sunday. Now we're not on this Sunday, but we're on the next Sunday.
yeah,
And
okay,
like I said, it's our time would be 6:30. I mean,
right,
3:30.
right. East Coast
Yeah,
6:30. Yep.
exactly. But
Oh,
yeah,
well, yeah, that's awesome. So is your wife Lori also a medium?
yeah. She didn't know she was though until after she met me. She
It's all
well,
your fault.
yeah, she was having all the same things that I had, like
Yeah.
weird dreams and yeah, voices in her head and stuff like that. And she didn't really know what it was. And when I started telling her what it was, I told her, I said, "You're a medium." I said, you ought to uh, try to expand on that, and I'll help you out as much as I can and stuff, and explain things to you.
Yeah.
And she is excellent. She's a sensitive, and she's an empath, and she started seeing spirits way back when. I have trouble even now seeing spirits. I'm seeing them quite regular now, but she was seeing them before I did even. And
Okay.
she's really good at it. She's really good with like to call them Doctor Roost problems.
Okay. I get what you're saying. That's
People want to know if their love connection's any good, and
she's good with that, huh?
yeah, she's really good.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, we're all four of us are on. We have Karen. Uh, what's her last name, honey? I forgot. Oh yeah, Karen Harrison from the UK. She's on the show on Sundays also.
Cool.
Yeah, she's got a show over there too, or at least she used to, and she's been on TV. She's quite well known over there.
Oh, nice.
But she's on our show here on Sunday now too. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
all
definitely
four
got
of
to
us
check
are.
that out. I got
It
definitely got to
is a
check that
different
out.
show. It's a different show. We have readings. We have healings.
Yeah,
I've done healings. I even read a horse one Sunday.
that's awesome. So, okay, so you've done some animal communication too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool.
yeah,
Um, so we're coming up on our first station break here because we got to pay the bills around here. So
exactly.
it's just about 20 after. We're here on the Paranormal Pete Show. It's episode 39 with medium and author Alan Wright. I'm your host, Pete Orbea, and we'll be right back. Hang out for just a second. We'll be right back. Thanks.
2 intuitive books, 1 amazing author. Intuitive You. Psychic and Personal Development by Christina Bloom. We all have the ability to tune into our sixth sense, the realm of intuition. Whether your intuition presents as a gut feeling or full psychic ability, Intuitive You will help you to fully embrace how your intuition works. Let's not forget about Christina's newest book, Wisdom for the Age of Ascension, Channeled Messages from Divine Intelligence. Wisdom for the Age of Ascension is an updated and expanded second release of Christina's first book, The Contemplative Truth. Christina has expanded her reach to more light beings, enabling more information to be channeled to you, the reader. Wisdom for the Age of Ascension and Intuitive You by Christina Bloom. Get your copies today or visit moonbowpublications.com. That's moonbowpublications.com.
Earthlings and beyond out there, we're back on the Paranormal Pete show with special guest Alan Wright, and I want to give a quick shout out to a great friend of this show, Linda Myers. She's with Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society. She's been a guest on the show. She was saying hi to us, so hi Linda, thanks for watching. And oh, there it is. Thanks for watching the show and supporting the show. Really appreciate it. And anybody else, if you're out there, just say hi, let us know where you're from, and I would definitely give you a shout out. And I would definitely encourage the audience to submit questions. Go through the chat function in the station player, which is at WLTK-DB.com, or if you're on Facebook, comment there, or Twitch, or YouTube, or wherever else you're watching from. Go ahead and put a comment there. If you have a question, I hope we'll have an answer, and I think we would. But welcome back, Alan.
Thank you.
So we just kind of touched on, that your wife's a medium too.
Yeah.
And a darn good one.
Yeah.
I got to ask, I mean, what's that like with 2 of you in the house? And do you guys feel like you kind of help each other? You guys feel like you kind of help each other out in a way with your work, or is it just flow easy, or is it difficult with 2 mediums in the house?
Maybe I'm giving away too much of my personal information, but I've been married 5 times. Lori's my fifth wife.
Okay.
And it's hard to be married to a medium if you're not one, or if you don't understand what's going on,
Right.
We have dreams. We see spirits. Spirits talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really not get into that, it could be really bad.
Yeah.
My Lori, on the other hand, since we're both mediums, she knows what's going on with me, and like I knew what was going on with her because same thing that was going on with me. I told her she was a medium also.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it sounds like it makes it easier almost to
we've been together since 2005, and we got married in 2008, like I said. So I guess we're doing something right,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was just curious, because I don't think you meet too many households that are full of mediums.
Yeah.
There's usually one. So that's can be an interesting and a cool dynamic. Now I know that you've had this gift, or you've recognized this gift from kind of early on.
Yeah.
Where you've said that, as a child, you thought everything that you were experiencing in life, that was a normal thing, until you kind of figured out from other kids that it wasn't so normal.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, I think it's important to get it out to people who do have kids. So maybe people listen to the show and you've got kids.
Yeah.
What was it like for you as a kid, kind of starting to recognize that, some of the things you're experiencing is not what everybody else is experiencing, and kind of talk about what that was like early on for you?
Well, I was born in 1949, and uh, my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother had abilities. I used to think of my mother as being a little gypsy woman because she was only about 5'3", something like that, and she knew when things was going to happen to the family and stuff like that. It's like
Okay.
she had abilities also,
Yeah.
and anyway, I had things that happened to me when I was a kid also. I saw my first apparition when I was about 5 years old. It
Okay.
scared me to death at first. I didn't know what was going on. And I hid under the covers on my bed. She stood at the foot of my bed, staring out my bedroom window, for a couple of minutes. Then she just dissipated,
Yeah.
just dissolved, went away. But it was different for me in school than a regular kid because I couldn't tell the kids what I saw, or I talked to spirits, or stuff like that, because then I would be an outsider, an outcast.
Right.
And it was like that all through grade school and high school. I didn't let any of them know. I
Yeah.
have a friend that I have known since second grade. He was my best friend, and I started doing these shows and writing books and stuff. And he wrote me an email one time. He says, "I didn't know you could do that stuff. What's going on?" And he didn't even know. I have family members that didn't even know.
Yeah.
I just didn't even come out of the closet, so to speak, until uh, about I even helped when I started working in my career. I didn't do that either.
Yeah.
I was a part of the grocery industry. I was I was in management in grocery stores and stuff here in Phoenix area, and you have to be careful what you say then too because of
Yeah.
customers and stuff like that. Plus employees, um, certain regulations that you have to follow. But
Sure.
yeah, and then I started working for school districts. I worked for a couple of school districts up in Paradise Valley, uh, which is just northeast of Phoenix.
Okay.
And but the same there. I didn't come out there either. It
Yeah.
wasn't until 2015 that I actually came out. I told Lori all the experiences that I had in my lifetime, different things. She said, "You ought to write a book." I said, "Well, maybe I will." And that one book turned into 9 books so far, and I'm on my
I
10th.
was, I was gonna say you've been writing like crazy.
Her and I lived in a haunted house for 3 years. Just after we got married,
Nice.
uh, all kinds of things happened to me growing up, and even after uh, I started working and stuff. In that little house that was haunted. We
Was
moved
it
in there, and I went to bed. Each night I go to bed and I just fall asleep soundly, and this thing would bum rush me, and screech in my ear, just scream in my ear, and wake me up. I mean, I would sit up in bed and I got my fist up. I'm ready to do battle with whoever it was,
yeah.
and, and there was nobody there. Then I'd fall back to sleep again, and I would do it again. It would do it sometimes 2 or 3 times a night, and I called it the Banshee of Dunlap Avenue because she looked like a banshee. She had a skinny face, all wrinkly. She had a long pointed nose. She had a pointed chin, with a cleft in it, like a guy would. She had long, spindly arms and legs, and she would just run right up to my ear and just scream in it.
Oh man.
And we had then we had a pestilence in the house of these big old fat ugly flies. I don't know what the name of them are, but they're so fat that they could barely fly. They're real slow when they fly. And I came home from work, and they'd be hundreds of them in the windows of the dining room and the living room area.
That's creepy.
We had 6 dogs at the time. I didn't want to start spraying them with poison,
Yeah.
And I didn't really learn until later there was probably an evil entity in the house.
Yeah.
And they were from that entity. Anyway, I started killing them with a fly swatter. Believe it or not, I killed them, every last one of them. It took me a couple hours, killing them, but I did it. I just, swinging at anything that moved, basically.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I had to sweep them up in a dustpan and throw them in the garbage can, And that was 2 or 3 dustpan full. So this went on for a while. and we were sitting there watching TV, and we had a big screen TV. We were sitting there watching TV, and you could see shadows on the screen of the big screen TV. Looked like flies flying up from the floor across the light of the TV.
Okay.
I told Lori, I said, "Those damn flies are back." She said, "Oh no," So I grab a fly swatter, and I was going to kill them again. They weren't flies; they were the spirit of the flies.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I'm telling you, I have had some weird things happen in my life. And I learned on one of those trips that I made to see my grandfather that the earth was created, and every living thing on earth has a spirit. That includes insects. That includes even this virus. It has a spirit. And these flies, they were in spirit form. They were still flying around in front of our TV.
Wow.
And we finally called up a friend of mine. He came over and he helped me bless the house. We used sage and we blessed it and everything.
Yeah.
And we got everything out of there. Oh, I forgot we had also shadow people in the house also. We got everything out but the shadow people. I kind of believe that the shadow people are from a different realm or something, I don't know if maybe not all of them are from different realm, but I know if you can't touch them with a blessing or get rid of them, they don't have to obey the laws of the land or of creation. They just do their own thing. But they never tried to hurt us. They were in the hallway and they just bounced from one wall to the other like they were watching us, spying on us.
Yeah, checking out what you're doing, and
and I asked Lori if it bothered her because it didn't bother me any, and she said it didn't. So we just left it at that.
Yeah.
We soon moved out of that house anyway, but we got rid of just about everything but the shadow people.
Yeah. Did you ever? I mean, the flies thing is interesting to me. I've never really experienced that. And you mentioned that you might have been some sort of evil, dark sort of entity. were you ever able to feel that or get any impressions of that in your time living there?
No, when we moved in the house, if we had known all that stuff was going on, we probably wouldn't have bought the house, But
Right.
when we moved in, nothing. It was nice and quiet, nice little house. It was
Yeah.
only a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, had a pretty good sized backyard, but yeah, we wouldn't have moved in if we knew all that stuff was going on. It just
Right.
started out kind of slowly. Lori's the one. We woke up one morning and she says, "I see shadows in the hallway." And that's what started it. And
Yeah.
I stayed awake one night. I I didn't give the Banshee her thrill of going running up to me and scaring me half to death.
Right.
But uh, I did see the shadow people that night when I stayed awake, and uh, and then it just snowballed from one thing to another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one reason why we blessed it. We didn't know what was coming next. Uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of frightening us.
Yeah. Well, they're trying, but then they're probably like, oh wait, these people are mediums. They're gonna take a lot more to a lot more scaring to do something to
The
them.
house stayed vacant for a long time after
Okay.
before we moved in, and the neighbor told us that some homeless people
Hmm.
had taken over the house and they were doing drugs and stuff in there.
Okay.
And we found a pentagram on the floor when we moved in, and
Hmm.
that was out in the shed. She said a pentagram
Okay.
on the floor. But anyway, so they were doing things in the house and on the property that maybe they shouldn't have been doing, and
Yeah.
they might have opened some kind of portal or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or your guys's vibration was just right for all this
yeah,
stuff to kind
yeah.
of come out and play, so to speak.
Well,
Wow.
I know we are surrounded by spirits all the time.
I agree
They
with
know
that.
that we can communicate with them, and and they just seek us out.
Yeah.
And that could be another reason. Like you said, they knew we were mediums. We were easy to communicate with, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Banshee wanted, but just to scare me half to death, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think I'd like that because I don't like to get woken up abruptly if
Yeah,
I'm soundly asleep. I just don't like, I don't know many people that do like that, but
really.
but that's really interesting. Well, I'm glad you got out of there because who
Oh, yeah.
knows, after so long, Um so in your work and just over the years, you mentioned that everyone's, there's spirits around everyone, kind of all the time. And
Yeah.
and I would agree with that. Do you, if you do a reading for somebody or if you do a blessing at a location, have you had experiences of like kind of noticing maybe something followed you home, or have you had anything like that?
Uh, no, what happened was when I started writing my books,
Hmm.
I had a guy that I knew, and I had his wife had bad headaches
Hmm.
all the time, and she would call me for me to come over and give her a blessing,
Okay.
and the pain would go away for a while. And she called me sometimes twice a week, for this,
Yeah.
and she had some kind of neurological problem. I don't know what it was that
Okay.
caused her headache, but she was married to this guy, since I was a medium, I could read him off the bat. He was abusive. He was he's a bad character. You wouldn't want to be his friend either because he'd kill you to, to look at you.
Yeah.
And but every time I went over there, he answered the door, and he didn't say hi or bye or nothing. He acted like he thought. I got the feeling he thought I was kind of some kind of fly by night carpetbagger or something,
Sure.
that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, like I said I would do or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Even though after I left, his wife didn't have any more pain,
Yeah.
But uh, I was I went to bed one night, and this was long towards morning. I guess it was about a few hours before morning. All of a sudden, I was like in this vision. The only thing I can describe it as a astral projection.
Okay.
And I was in this place that was so dark you couldn't hardly see your hand in front of your face. And I was on this gravel path,
Okay.
and it was about 8 to 10 foot wide, something like that. And it was kind of winding around through the uh, area there. And it had buildings, big, tall buildings on both sides of the path.
Okay.
And these buildings had windows in them, but there was no lights on in these buildings at all. You couldn't see any lights in the windows at all. And I just had a feeling that maybe I should walk forward instead of turn around and going the other way. So
Okay.
I started walking forward, and I realized that there was something behind me. And I kind of looked over my shoulder, and there was 3 or 4 of these shadow people that was bouncing around behind me. They were just going back and forth on this path behind
Okay.
me. And that kind of put some fear into me because I didn't know what their deal was, what they were going to do to me, if anything.
Yeah.
But I just kept walking along this path, and all of a sudden, I saw this spirit. He was over behind one of these buildings,
Okay.
around the corner of this building, and he was motioning for me to come closer to him. And I walked as close as I could. I walked up to the edge of the path,
Yeah.
and he kept motioning for me to come closer. And I said, I'm not coming any closer. I said, if you want to tell me something, you better do it now because I'm not coming any closer. And first off, he wanted to know if I could get him out of that place,
Okay.
get away from suffering. We were in hell at that time. I was actually in hell. He had called me to hell. And
Okay.
I told him, I said, I cannot do what you want me to because you got yourself in this predicament. You got
Yeah.
yourself here and you're going to have to get yourself out. Then he wanted to know if I could lessen his pain like I did his wife,
Yeah.
lessen the pain so it wouldn't hurt so bad. And I told him, I said, again,
Oh.
you did this. You did this on your own now. You have to do whatever you have to do
Yeah.
to stay here or to get out of here. And then come to find out in the course of the conversation, he had a lot of fear because he in his physical life here on Earth, he had killed somebody, and he was afraid that that guy that he killed was there down there someplace with him,
Oh
and
no.
he was afraid what that guy was going to do to him
Yeah.
if he found him. So he was fearful of that, and
Okay.
so at about that time, the projection ended, and I woke up, and I never had a feeling like that before in my life. And those feelings down there of fear and dread and hatred and all those negative feelings down there. I
Yeah.
say down there because I don't know exactly where it was at, but in my learnings when I was a child, hell was
Yep.
down there, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
down there.
That's what everyone's taught.
And,
Yep.
and so, anyway, I never had that experience before in my life. And all those feelings, I still had them. I brought them back with me. And it
Yeah.
was really, really bad for my wife because I was, I, I was jumping at her and, speaking mean to her and just everything about myself
Yeah.
had changed.
How
I,
long
I
how long did you have those feelings
uh,
after that
almost two
incident?
weeks, about 2 weeks.
Oh man, that's a long
I gave
time.
myself blessings and everything,
Yeah.
and I saved myself, gave myself blessings, and I finally started getting rid of them about after a week, and I was all better after about 2 weeks. But
Wow.
that was an experience I wouldn't ever want to do again. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It sounds good to me.
yeah, really.
Well,
But
let me ask you, Alan, this entity that you saw down there who was asking for your help, was this the husband of the lady you were helping with the headaches?
exactly,
And
he was the
was he
guy that
still
was
alive?
helping. Huh?
Was he still alive when you had this vision?
No, he was dead too. He was a
Okay, so
spirit.
he had passed away.
He passed away, and he was in hell.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, and the guy he killed was in hell now. He was very fearful.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
But
So,
anyway,
and you wrote a book about that. It's
I
called
got
The
a
Hell, right?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
called to hell, called to heaven, and the called to heaven parts when I went and saw my grandfather. I actually saw my own death in this. Yeah,
I
it
would
was almost. Huh?
I got to stop you right there.
Okay.
I I don't think I'd ever want to see that or to know really what's going to happen. How did you I mean, did that just happen or were you seeking that? You know, how did that kind of go down? And how'd you feel about that?
Well, one night I went to bed. This was back. My grandfather died in 1982,
Okay.
and I had this vision, or I want to call it again, an astral
Okay.
projection in 1983, about a year after he had passed.
Okay.
And I went to bed one night, and it was like boom, immediately. The minute my head hit the pillow, it was like boom. I was there in this vision, and uh, I was up in the corner of the room of this hospital room,
Okay.
and I was looking down. And I saw this body on this gurney, and there was a doctor and a nurse hanging out around this gurney, and they were talking. And they were talking about me, of course, the body on the thing. I realized that it was my body, and I it was kind of a strange feeling seeing your body laying on a
Yeah.
gurney, and
Yeah.
knowing that you were dead. That kind of put fear in me.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
But I didn't have much time to think about that because I started going up through the ceiling, and then I went up through the roof of the hospital, and I went right uh, up. I was going straight up, and I was going faster as I was going, and I could see the lights of the town that we lived in. My wife thinks it's Tucson because we're not ever going to move here, and she's probably right. It was a kind of small, not really huge city,
Yeah.
and I could see the lights of a baseball field and whatever. But anyway, and I thought it was kind of pretty, all the lights in the town.
Yeah.
But I kept going up faster and faster and faster. I was kind of reflecting back on things, and my Christian teachings, told me I was either going to go to heaven or hell, and I was wondering at that time which way I was going to go.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe since I was going up, maybe I was going to heaven,
Yeah.
And boom, right instantly, this voice came into my head like it was on uh, some kind of ray or something, and it said, well, first off, I'm getting a little bit mixed up here. First off, I was looking down at the earth,
Okay.
and it was really beautiful from where I was up there, blue oceans and everything. It looked
Yeah.
really neat up there. And but I was also thinking how ugly it was down there on the surface with the wars and the rapes and the murders and everything that was going on the surface of the earth.
Yeah.
And at that time is when that voice came to me for the first time. And it said, the earth is fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. That's all it said. And Pete, you think about that sentence even when you go home tonight. Think about it. There's a lot of information in that sentence. I'm telling you right now.
Say it.
For
Say it
one,
again. Say it again for everybody.
the earth is fulfilling the purpose for which it was created.
Nice.
So, one thing, the earth is created. For another thing, even with the wars, the murders, the rapes, and everything that's going on down here, it's still fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. So, what is that purpose that it was created for?
Well, I would yeah. Well, if I give a quick answer without thinking too much into it yet, kind of surface level, I would think that based on the sentence, it means that it's a place for life to be in as a stop in that energy's life.
Yeah,
That we may have something to fulfill on at this stop at the and that point of our soul's journey, our energy's journey.
yeah,
That tree's energy was supposed to do something. Is am I kind
yeah,
of on to what you're thinking?
yeah, exactly. Um, what I got from it is we came from a pre-existence. We came from somewhere.
Okay,
Uh, Energy cannot be destroyed; it can only be changed.
right.
So we had to come from someplace.
Okay,
So where there was a pre-existence, and this is part of our life force,
right.
how we're supposed to go.
Yep.
This life here is to make us stronger, to make our spirits stronger. If we didn't have this earth, they didn't have this teaching here on this earth, we wouldn't know what happiness was. We wouldn't know what sadness and sorrow was. We wouldn't know what having a family was. All this stuff. We wouldn't
Okay.
know.
Yep.
And to prepare us for the life to come, there's an afterlife here for our spirits. To prepare us for that life to come, we would have to have all those.
Yep.
And because we would not make it over on the other side if we didn't have that knowledge.
Okay.
So,
And yeah, that gets really deep there. That's really cool.
but it took me a while. I thought about that thing for a couple years before thought I got it.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I was contemplating that there, I felt like I was in some kind of bubble or something.
Yeah.
I kept going faster and faster. Then I started wondering about my own soul. Where am I going to go? I started thinking about the sins that I had committed on this earth when I was there in my lifetime and stuff
Sure.
like that. And that voice came back again and it says, because of the things that you did, the choices that you made, the hardships that you had to overcome, the stumbling blocks that you had to overcome is the reason that you are where you're at today. So I kind of take it that I was in a good place because, according to this voice, I had made good choices, I guess, to prepare myself, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I was thinking about this, I started thinking about my family. You know, what were they going to do since I wasn't there anymore to support them or whatever?
Yeah.
And that voice came back again. This was the last time I heard the voice, by the way. And it says, because of the things that you had to do to be here at this time, they have to do the same things. They have to make the choices that you made. They had to do the over the hardships, overcome them. They had to overcome the stumbling blocks, just like you did,
Okay.
so that they too can be where you're at today. So that kind of gave me a feeling that we're single when it comes to that. We all have to pay for our own sins, whatever they might be. But listen to me now. We don't. We pay for most of our sins here on this earth while we're living. That's another one of the jobs of this earth.
Okay.
You're not going to go to hell for stealing a candy bar, even though it might be considered a sin.
Right.
We're not going to go to hell for even steal a car, probably. But grand stepfather, Lori said. But if you commit murder, you commit rape, or you're responsible for a lot of murders or whatever, you're going to have to bend the knee in front of the person or whoever created what we're standing on right now. And I wouldn't want to be there to have to do that.
Yeah, me.
But anyway,
Me either.
Explain yourself, son. No, I don't want to. Run the tape, buddy. But anyway, I kept going up faster and faster, and I was among the planets, you know. And as you're looking at the planets, Earth stands out. It doesn't appear like it's supposed to be there. It's not, you know. You have these planets all around here, and Earth just stands out differently for some reason. I don't know why. It just appears that it doesn't belong there.
Okay.
But still, it's kind of a beautiful thing seeing the planets out there. And then it was going faster and faster, and all of a sudden I was among the stars. And I never knew that stars were different colors. They're red and yellow and blue
Orange
and all
and
different colors.
Yep.
And as I was thinking about this, all of a sudden I was going so fast that they became white streaks. And then all of a sudden those white streaks became black. There was nothing.
Okay.
Just blackness, total blackness. Just
Yeah.
like a near-death person would see. And I was getting fearful at this point because I don't know whether I was being shot out of a cannon or what, you know. And all of a sudden I saw this little pinhole of light in front of me. And that's what I concentrated on. That's the only thing that kept me from being afraid, because this little pinhole of light kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, we started. I said we, but well, we started slowing down, and I went into this light, and it's bright. It's brighter than the sun. It's brighter than anything that I've seen that man made.
Yeah.
But I went into this light, and This light is nothing but love and charity and compassion. It was all the good emotions. But this light, it was something that you could hold on to, like an object. It went
Okay.
straight through me, straight through me. It went to every part of my body. You know, you can say you love somebody here on earth, but that's emotion, just emotion.
Yeah.
That love there goes right straight through you. You know you're loved. And that compassion goes right straight through you. Everything.
Okay.
I never wanted to leave that light. And I kept slowing down and kept going through this light. And then I noticed this person, and he was leaning up or sitting on this big, huge rock, his boulder, I think. And he had long hair. He had a beard, a mustache. He was Caucasian, white, and he had a long white robe, and he was wearing sandals. You could see it all 9 yards. And guess what? That light was coming from him.
Interesting.
Now, he was presenting himself to me as Jesus Christ because that's the way I was taught in my childhood and everything else.
It's what you could perceive, and yeah.
I don't know how, like, an American Indian would seem, or a Hindu, or somebody like that. I don't know how he would present himself
Sure.
that way.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Maybe it wasn't a person at all. Maybe it was just some form of energy that made himself presented that way.
Yeah.
But all I know is if that person, if created this world and made this light, then I'm gonna bend the knee. I tell you right now, because that person has more power that you would ever want to see in a person. I tell you, I know he smarter than I am, that's for sure. And I don't have any of those powers. But anyway, uh, as I was thinking this and getting closer to him, I blacked out. But after I came back after a few years, I felt like I didn't black out. I think what happened was my memory was erased. I think there was some other things that happened after that that I wasn't supposed to see or do, and my memory was erased.
Okay. All
Anyway,
right.
when I woke up again, I was in this meadow or large field. It had tall grass and had like uh, flowers in it. Uh, what's that other grass that has flowers in it, honey? Well, anyway, it was like a type of hay,
Okay.
but I was laying
Alfalfa,
in it.
like alfalfa or
Alfalfa,
something.
that's it.
Yeah.
And I was laying in it, and I could hear water like from a creek or a river on the other side of me. And I realized on the other side of this field was a forest, and there was a path between this field and this forest that ran
Okay.
along the forest and the field.
Yeah.
And I heard birds chirping and insects in the flowers and everything else as I was
Yeah.
laying there. I was trying to gather my thoughts. And anyway, I stood up. And when I stood up, I realized that I was in a circle of people. And this circle probably was about 20 foot across.
Okay.
And everybody in that circle was my loved ones, my relatives that had passed,
Right.
uh, and my close friends that had passed before me. And but what I was concentrating on was my grandfather, who stood right straight in front of me. And he spoke to me and told me that he loved me, and all kinds of personal stuff like that. But he didn't move his mouth. He did it telepathically.
Okay.
And I told him that I loved him also and everything. And I did the same thing. I could do it telepathically. I didn't have to move my mouth. I felt like I could talk if I wanted to, but why?
Yeah. Why
I
would
could
you
do
if
it
you?
that
Yeah.
way. That's the
Yeah.
easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like sending an email. But anyway, again, I passed out, or my memory was erased. And the last thing I remember was my grandfather and I was walking along that path, and we were side by side, and he was telling me things, and then boom, I was awake, and I don't know what he was telling me. I couldn't remember what he was telling me,
Yeah.
And they have no time there, Pete. They don't have time.
Right. Right.
Our society, our world's built on time. They don't have it there
Yeah.
because they're spirit, and because they have no time. They live forever.
Yeah.
Because I was there in spirit with them, and I was in that atmosphere with no time. I could have been there. I could have been there a year. I could have been there 5 years. I could have been there 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think I was there longer than just one night. Because when I went to bed, boom, I was gone. When I came back, boom, I was awake
Yeah.
in about 7 or 8 hours. But as I got older, I got bits and pieces of information and knowledge that I picked up on this little trip to see my grandfather, and I
Yeah.
knew it came from them because they told me it did. But anyway, um, I told you that I wanted to. That it was very confusing for me because I saw my grandfather and I wanted to be with him, but in the end, I did see him. But I could have been there 20 years and not be with him hardly, or not remember that, part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But I was with my other relatives too. But one thing I wanted to tell you that it's going to probably upset your audience, and maybe you too, Pete. There was other people there, and I found out those other people were aliens. They were not of this earth,
Okay.
but they looked just like us. They
Yeah.
spoke just like us. Uh, they could come down to earth and be in a large city walking on the streets, and nobody would know they were alien
Yeah.
because they would just take on the same looks as we got.
Yeah.
But they were the ones that was helping my family anyway to do whatever they had to do for whatever reason I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I know I got a lot of information on from over there.
Yeah.
The place I call heaven in my book is actually probably a lot of people. Some people said, "Well, can't you call it dimensions?" Well, yeah, it's probably 9
Sure.
different dimensions. Heaven.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
what I saw. 9 different levels or dimensions of heaven, and you can work yourself up each dimension. Each dimension's better than the one before, and you can work yourself all the way up to the top level. Now, my grandfather was in the bottom level, and it was just like Earth, except it was perfect. There's no death there, there's no sickness there. Everything was perfect in this
Yeah.
place they call heaven. You could do whatever you wanted to do. There was water there was wildlife there. It was just like Earth. But as soon as you learn the laws and ordinances of the universe, you move up a level.
Okay.
I wanted to bring it to your attention too that it's the same way in hell. I was taught, in Baptist religion when I was a kid that hell was fire and brimstone and you just burn forever. But that burning part is just how you feel when you're down there, because the emotions down there, hatred and fear and all those other things, the bad, they go through you just like the good emotions did with me in that light.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're being burned and being, it's pain is what it is.
Okay.
Drastic pain. And there's a lot of wailing and everything else down there. And, but if you can learn the ordinances and stuff that you have to learn while you're down there, you can move up different levels also. Now, I saw 5 levels of hell. There could be more, but there's no less than 5.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what happens if you get to the top level of hell, but I would take it that you could move over to the other side and go up to different levels of heaven, but not to the top. There's no way.
Yeah.
If you murdered somebody in your life, you're not going to go up to the top part of heaven. And
Yeah.
child abuse or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to tell you that part.
That
Anyway,
yeah, Alan, I mean, what an experience. Well, let me ask you this. So in the mediumship work I've done
yeah,
over the past 8 years, I've come to learn the light that you're talking about. I refer to it as the soul's car wash, and that
that's a good thing. Yeah,
yeah, everything that held you down in life, is in a sense washed off of you,
yeah,
cleaned off of you, and that you can come back from that light and visit your loved ones,
yeah.
be, try and guide them and things like that. But, aside from this experience in your work, when you encounter spirit, or let's say you're doing a reading for somebody, do you think that they're a part of that life or that light, or where are they at? Where, when you see somebody and you're going to communicate with them, where are they? That's something I've been trying to kind of get more answers myself. And on the other side of your answer, I'll give you an example of something I've seen. So where do you think they are? Is it just coming into your mind and you're perceiving? Or in your work, when you're doing a reading, are you going somewhere and meeting them halfway? Do you see what I'm saying?
A lot of the readings I've done, I've told the recipients that uh, that they have 2 or 3 ancestors. That's their. I can't remember anything. But,
I call them spirit guides
well, they
or
could be
guardian
spirit
angels.
guides, but often they're their angels, guardian angels,
Yeah,
and they come back from that. But there
right,
again, they can't come back until they have learned some things where they went. They
right.
have to learn how to be a guardian angel and how to be a spirit guide and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Like
agree with that. Yeah,
like with my grandfather, I haven't seen him. He's never come to me in spirit. And the only thing I can think of is he was allowed to have me see him during that astral projection or whatever you want to call it,
hmm,
vision or whatever. And that was his thing with me. And it kind of put
okay,
me at rest because he was more like a father figure to me than my own dad was.
okay,
Uh, he, I, he, he's the one that taught me how to fish. He's the one that he was with me all the time. I was over there at him and my grandmother's house all the time.
Okay.
So that kind of helped me know where he was at, because I did wonder where he was at and what he
Right.
was doing and if he was all right. And that kind of put me at ease there. But I don't think he is able to come out yet and, move around like some of them are. I like
Right.
to put that it's a period of acclimation.
Yeah.
Some spirits,
I've experienced similar sort of thing where I think a person who's newly become a spirit, they've got to learn how to
yeah,
take everything in and, like, perfect term, acclimate,
yeah,
be used to and be at peace with,
yeah,
not no longer being a living, breathing person on earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people can, they can come back immediately, within a couple months or something of their death.
Hmm.
I think it's because they're fine with where they're at, and they've learned to acclimate themselves to the other side,
Yeah.
and they can come back like for readings and stuff like that. But in the case of my grandfather, he hasn't even come back for a reading, and I think it's because he he had a lot of German in him. He was kind of uh, he was uh, you
Stubborn.
stubborn. Yeah, that's right. Stubborn as a mule,
Yeah.
and he's still acclimating over there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a nice guy. But if
Yeah.
if he didn't want to do something, he was going to let you do it. And where he was at, I probably wouldn't want to leave either because I saw
Yeah.
him there. You know, uh, I can only find the word paradise mentioned, I think, one time in the New Testament. And guess who spoke it?
Who?
Huh?
Who is that?
Jesus. When Jesus
Okay.
was being crucified on the cross, there was two criminals that was being crucified also. One was on the either side of him. There was.
Right. Right.
And one criminal said, "If you are the Son of God, get yourself off that cross and take me with you to your kingdom."
Yeah.
And the other guy said, "Lord, please remember me when you go to your kingdom," or whatever. Now I paraphrased it,
Yep.
but he said to the second one, he said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Now he didn't say he was going to be on the third or fourth level of the kingdom of heaven. He
Right.
said, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." And that's where my grandfather's at. He's in paradise.
Yeah.
When you die, when your spirit pass over, if you're a halfway decent person, that's where you go. You go to paradise. It's the only way I can put it.
Yeah. Sure.
My grandfather, being as stubborn as he is, he don't want to come back. I
Well,
don't. I mean,
well, like you said, time is time's non-existent there. So to him, he might feel like he's been there a couple months,
yeah,
or whatever he perceives as a
exactly.
couple
He
months.
could be there.
So
Well, it says in the Bible that 1,000 years is like a day to God. So, he could
yeah,
be there 1,000 years and say, "Hey, what's the problem? I've only been here a day."
yeah. Why do I have to move? No, exactly, exactly.
Uh,
And that's an amazing experience, and I feel like for you, it must have been so introspective. You know, uh,
it
uh,
was
you
life
know,
changing. It
yeah,
was,
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick pause here and take another station break. When we come back, let's talk about the impact that had on you. And then we got to talk about your new book and some of the other books too. Because we're 20 past the second hour here on the Paranormal Pete show with special guest Alan Wright. So when we come back, let's dig more into, the impact that had on you, and maybe how that experience, may ring a bell for somebody else, or that's listening out there. So we'll be right back on Let's Talk Radio, WLTK-DB.com. I'm your host, Peter Bay, and the Paranormal Pete Show. We'll be right back.
Sunday, October 24th, the 2021 Statler City Psychic Fair in Buffalo, New York. Come out and meet psychic medium and host of School Through Spirit, Diet Renee, and spirit medium and host of the Ghost Finders, Rob Thompson. Diet Renee is a renowned psychic medium, medical intuitive, and master teacher of psychic mediumship development. Hailing from Wisconsin, Diet trained under world-renowned psychic Lisa Williams. Spirit medium Rob Thompson is one of Diet's mediumship development students. He is the host and executive producer of America's longest-running indie paranormal TV show, The Ghost Finders, on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Roku. He has made guest appearances on other shows, including Discovery Channel's Paranormal 911 and A Haunting, and teaches paranormal research at the Los Angeles City College. Come and meet these two superb mediums together on stage for live gallery readings. Remember, Sunday, October 24th, the 2021 Statler City Psychic Fair. Get your tickets now at StatlerCity.com. That's StatlerCity.com. Doors open at 1, close at 6. Gallery readings, tarot cards, and more. Statler City Psychic Fair. Tickets at StatlerCity.com.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Peter Abea. We're on WLTK-DB.com. Leave us a message, comment there wherever you're listening from. Say hey, and we'll say hey back. If you have any questions, fire away. We're just talking about one of Alan's experiences that he's had in his life that just, wow, what an experience to have. And you were mentioning before the break how it was life-changing for you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how that changed your life.
Well, for one thing, I wasn't fearful anymore of death, because I realized where you went after you died. Your spirit leaves your body immediately. It goes to a nice place. Now, if you kill somebody or something, or you were a part of Hitler's crew there, you might not be in that place. I can speak for God on that. But it almost gave me like a map for my own life. And like I said, I've been married a lot of times, so there was a lot of things that I had to change too in my life. And back in '83 there, I had to start working on that.
Yeah.
When I met Lori, come to think, she was married 5 times also. Us mediums, that's something that we just have to deal with. But together we were able to develop love and a strong bond,
Yeah.
And we know we have a plan as to what happens when we die.
Mm-hmm.
We can see where other people are coming from too. I know I can.
Yeah.
Lots of times, why they're acting the way they do and stuff like that.
Okay.
Also, um, after 1983, my abilities became stronger and stronger and stronger, and they progressively got stronger along that up until now.
Yeah.
And before, I couldn't even give a reading. I could receive messages um, from spirits. I knew what
Mm-hmm.
they, but I couldn't. A lot of the reading is the feeling of the spirit,
Yes. Yes.
because you receive not just words but sometimes feeling. You have to translate those feelings as
Yeah.
to you know
That's a
as to what
challenge.
they mean. Yeah. Well, sometimes you go to three different mediums and for reading, they'll give you the same reading, but they use different words and might be but it means the same thing at the end, basically.
Sure. Sure.
And so it helped me in that way. I guess you could say I'm softer now than what I used to be. I'm
Well,
more of a sensitive now.
oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, really.
Well, let me ask you this then, Alan. Since you went through this experience, this kind of life changing, it made you less fearful of dying, and I would agree with that point since I started my journey and doing mediumship. It does make you. I feel like I am less fearful of dying. Everyone in some way is
Yeah,
doesn't you don't want to leave this life maybe, but when you start seeing pieces of the other side, experiencing pieces of the other side, getting it from those that you're communicating with, it really does kind of um, dull the edge, I guess. For me, of wondering what's going to happen when I die. Is it
yeah,
everybody has that fear somewhere in there, but it really does change your perspective on that a little bit. So,
yeah.
my question to you is, since you've gone through that experience, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the vast majority of people are not going to have an experience like you did.
Yeah.
In what you came back with, what's one thing that you could tell people that they could do to make a change in their life to get them more towards when they pass on that they're going to go to that paradise. You know what I mean? What's one
Yeah.
thing you could tell people that you learned through that experience that will really help them in their life journey?
Well, I know as long as I was there, they never asked me what religion I belonged to. They never asked me what church I went to. Their main thing was love. They wanted to know if I loved my family, if I loved my next door neighbor, if I loved the people of the world, and they wanted to know if I loved the world. To them, the world is a living organism. It was created just like we were.
Okay.
In fact, we were created from the dust of the earth, according to the Bible.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like American Indians, natives, believe that the earth has a spirit.
Yeah.
And well, I believe that now too, myself,
Hmm.
because of that. If you believe that the earth has a spirit, you might not try to drill for oil as deep as you do, or you might not try to uh, throw your trash away in a place that's beautiful, and maybe you
Yeah.
shouldn't do it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about, like I said, stealing a candy bar as much. You shouldn't do it, but you don't pay for those type of sins here in this life. You pay for the bad ones later on. And you have to know where you're going to go when you die. You have to know where your spirit's going to go. I've had people ask me, when I die, where am I going to go? Well, it's not you that's going; it's your spirit.
Right.
Some people, believe it or not, believe when they die, their spirit's got to be buried with them in the ground 6 feet down, and that's just absolute falsehood. That's a lie. If somebody
Okay.
thinks that, when you die, and the minute your heart stops beating, your spirit leaves your body immediately. I've seen a person die once, and I saw his spirit leave. I saw my little dog die, and he gave up the spirit that came out his mouth. I
Oh,
swear I saw it. Uh, your spirit leaves your body the minute your heart
yeah.
stops beating, the
Yeah.
minute you die. And it goes, like I said, if you're a halfway decent person, it goes to a place that I call paradise.
Yeah.
And unless you're like Mother Teresa, now she might be up on the top.
Right.
She did nothing but good, just in her life. But that's what James in the Bible said. Religion in its purest form is helping the needy and feeding, or helping the poor, feeding the hungry, and taking care of the widows and the fatherless and stuff like that. That's religion right there in its purest form. And Mother Teresa had that down pat. She really did.
Yeah.
So if you could bring some of that in your life, maybe go to some soup kitchens or something like that, and
Yeah.
volunteer some time or something like that, that would be better than going out and rob a bank or something.
Sure. Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like, listening to your experience and I got to say, as you were talking about it, I was feeling all kinds of energy um, while you were describing your experience. But it sounds like that kind of a good takeaway from that experience and how it changed your life and what you gathered from it on the other side is just if people could remember love and compassion
Exactly.
and share love and share compassion more often, then number one, that's going to be good for you in this life, in this dimension, and then it may help you on the other side, and at least you know you'll be in a better place to comprehend and receive all the information on the other side. I mean, does that sound right? Kind of the big takeaway is to
Exactly.
remember to
Exactly.
share love and share compassion and on the show I talk a lot about being present and in the moment, not thinking about not holding on to yesterday, not worrying about tomorrow, but
Yeah.
being present and taking stock in what is in your life, and appreciating that. And so that's kind of how I take it is to be present and to be present in that time in the moment. You tend to share your love, you share your compassion in what you love in life, and that's what we all need to do
Yeah.
more often and more as people get busier and busier. I feel like I can't be any busier than I am now. It's you got to stop and smell the roses. You know what I mean? You got to
Exactly.
stop and be present. So, I mean,
You
that
know,
that go ahead.
if mankind was like Mother Teresa, uh, we would not have to worry about the things coming down that's coming down now. We wouldn't have to worry about the book of Revelations in the Bible because those things wouldn't happen.
Sure.
I was told when I was in spirit, yeah, this this COVID-19 was created by mankind, and that's the reason why the vaccine's so bad because it's hard to create a vaccine from something that's not or for something that's not natural.
Sure.
And
And yeah, can you use a different example than
oh, okay,
than
well,
that?
yeah, that was just
Thank you.
but you know, I could say do whatever you want because that's you have to think for yourself and survive.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just saying a lot of the things that mankind's doing now is not for good. It's just um,
Yeah. Well,
oh,
there's money. Money's
there's
a big part of all that, but
yeah, for sure.
yeah, well, so I kind of want to go back to um, when so I've had experiences in one things I've always been curious about in doing readings, is when I was asking about, where are the spirits? And through some of your experiences, it sounds like, you've kind of got what you've perceived as where they are, you know, uh, from being called to heaven and called to hell.
Yep.
Um, I've had an experience of they are in this kind of what looks like an earth type place. There's plants and everything looks like an earth, but to me,
Yeah.
when I see it, it's almost like it's like a different dimension because everything is like hypercolor, or
Exactly. Yeah.
like the sky is like this kind of purple burgundy
Yeah.
kind of color. And
Exactly.
when being in this place, the time thing is cool because it looks like, when you see a time lapse, to me this is what it looks like to me when you see a time lapse of a storm coming in, okay, and the
Yeah.
clouds, and it's all sped up because it's time
Yeah.
lapse, especially in Arizona in monsoon season. You see that all the time. you,
Really, huh?
where everything's moving fast, but at the same time, it's all moving incredibly slow. And so, like the wind, plants are blowing, and the wind seems like it's like hurricane level winds, but the plants are only barely moving. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Have you experienced that? Like, it's like an earth type. It looks like it could be earth, but and I don't always see spirits in this type of place. So it's a lot of times it's just impressions for me. I'll get like an image, or I see a photograph, or you know some sort of object. But have you kind of had that experience too? I I've just always been trying to understand where exactly they are.
Well, when I was there, what I do remember, I said everything was perfect, and that's what I meant. The flowers were brilliant in their colors and stuff,
Okay.
and uh, the insects even their colors were brilliant, and
Mhm.
they were perfect as to what they were doing even,
Yeah.
and uh, just everything there was like you said, in like hyper color and hyper everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was
It's like Earth, but it's not.
yeah, exactly. uh, when this planet was created, uh, for when whoever planned and created the planet, they put something in this that made it a time thing.
Okay.
And anything that's on this earth has a time limit on it. Um, Especially the living things. You have a
Yeah.
lifespan.
Sure.
Everything
Yeah.
has a lifespan that's living here,
And
trees and everything.
to your
Uh,
point, earlier, the sentence that the planet is fulfilling the job it was created for.
Yeah.
Well, if there wasn't a time limit on things, things probably wouldn't move on, right? So
Well, exactly right. Yeah.
you gotta put
Exactly
a
right.
time limit on it so things do what they're supposed to,
Yeah. In a
and
hurry.
move on. Yeah, and then they move on. S- exactly. So in your work, we've got about 20 minutes left. Kind of right on that. We're 40 past the hour here. The Paranormal Pete Show with guest Alan Wright. And so in your work, what's been, what was a reading that was such a positive impact for you? Can you talk a little bit about, one that you can remember that just was such a positive experience that you had with somebody?
Well, I knew this husband and wife. They were friends of mine years ago,
Okay.
and he developed cancer, and it was brain cancer, and it was terminal.
Mm-hmm.
And closer he got to death, he became. I guess he had a lot of pain, and irritable, and he's flailing about in the bedroom. And the wife had trouble dealing,
Yeah.
taking care of it, and dealing with it.
Yeah.
And she called me one night. We only lived like maybe a mile away from their house. She called me one night and asked me. This was about 9 o'clock or so. She called and wanted to know if I could come over and see if I could do something with her husband and giving him a blessing or something. And so I did. And when I walked into that room, his room was full of his
His family.
relatives. Yeah,
Yeah.
family. Yeah. And but anyway, I gave him a blessing. He wasn't flailing about when I was there,
Yeah.
but he was very much in turmoil. I gave him a blessing. I told his spirit to become calm, become peaceful. I told him that basically what I did was release the spirit. Do you give blessings or anything like that?
It's not something I do yet. I don't know if I will ever do it. But it's just not something that it's either not the right time or it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, what I did basically, I think he knew his wife wanted him to stay there and not die so bad.
Yeah.
He was doing everything in his power not to die.
Yeah.
And what he did in that blessing was release his spirit. And when I gave him that blessing, he just went limp and just settled right down. He was very peaceful. And we said our goodbyes to her and everything. And we went home, and the phone was ringing as we went into the door of our house.
Okay.
He answered it, and it was her. And she said that he had passed. So immediately after I gave him that blessing, he passed it, and I'll always remember that uh, reading, if you want to call it a reading. It was more a blessing.
More of a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. I gave a reading to this one woman. This was about 3 months ago. Her grandson died in a car accident where his mother ran into a tree.
Oh.
His mother lived, her daughter, but her grandson died. And first reading I ever gave to her, her grandson told me to tell her that not to be mad at his mother. She she thought that her daughter did it on purpose to commit suicide, and it didn't work out that way. What she did was take her grandson away from her, and she was blaming her for it.
Yeah.
And the grandson was telling me to tell her not to blame her, that it was an accident, that she didn't do it on purpose and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After that reading, she really thanked me. She said, I took a load off from her, all those years blaming her for this and everything, and made it work. Her daughter keep closer together again, And then about 3 months ago, I gave her another blessing over the telephone. Not blessing, a reading over the telephone.
Yeah.
And I said some things and made her happy and everything. We were laughing back and forth and everything. And after the reading, I was still in spirit, by the way. And I went outside with the dogs. I had to take them outside at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I went outside, he came back to me. And he says, look to the right. I looked off to the right. And the sky was all lit up with this big old huge rainbow, all kinds of colors. It was the biggest rainbow I had ever seen.
Nice.
He says, I made this for you, for making my mother happy, or my grandmother.
Oh, that's cool.
I had tears in my eyes after that. I didn't know that spirits could do that. But apparently they have pure power enough to where they can do things like that. He made a freaking rainbow because I made his grandmother happy. I couldn't believe it. That brought me to tears. I couldn't believe it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
sounds like a neat little kid.
I've had some pretty neat blessings over the years, and things have happened to me.
Yeah.
But you want me show you my newest book?
Yeah, let's talk about what's your newest book? It's out on Amazon. Tell us what it is and what it's a little bit about. Oh, things to come.
Yeah, look it up. Let me see if I get it out here.
There it is.
It's things to come. And the title's mainly what the book is about. I'm a psychic medium, and I tell the future. I've been hit quite a bit lately with things to come, and I talk about earthquakes in here. I talk about tornadoes. I talk about hurricanes. I talk about floods and volcanoes. These things are happening. People say, well, they already happened, but they're going to be happening more, and the velocity of them is going to be worse than what they ever were before.
Sure.
So we got that going on now, starting up right now.
Well, let me ask you this, Alan. Seeing things to come, seeing things that will come at some point. How are you getting that information? Are you do you meditate and then kind of just get in the zone, or does it just hit you, like upside the head with the universal 2x4, as some of my past guests call it? How do you know it's something that's going to be coming?
It comes to me more like the spirits come to me, actually.
Okay.
I compare it to like my spirit guides let me know, pretty much, that something's coming up. A lot of times they don't tell me what it is, but a lot of times they tell me about things that's coming up. I lost my train of thought there for a minute, but
maybe you're getting something.
That's what happens when you get old. That's all it is.
Well, so yeah. Now I'm going to touch real quick on your spirit guides here. How what is something that you do, or if you do anything, to help you learn who your spirit guides are or learn how to work with them? Because I know a lot of people out there, there's more and more all the time, more people having awakenings, more people are, it's everyone's a little more open-minded nowadays, and which may allow for gifts to come through. So I think, more and more, there's more and more people all the time that are having these awakenings. um you know and I think it's so beneficial to meet spirit guides. So, like, what's one thing you can impart to people out there who are maybe kind of starting their journey and kind of flying blind because not really sure where the information is coming or who it's coming from? What's one thing that you've learned, like, to how to work with your spirit guides? Like, what's something you could impart on people as something they could take away with, like, they could try?
Well, I learned that my spirit guides were two of my. I only have two spirit guides, by the way. Some people have more.
Mm-hmm.
I only have two, and they're my ancestors. A couple of my ancestors, and they're the ones that help me in what I do,
Yeah.
and they do quite a bit for me. Actually, to tell you the truth, they kind of, if I didn't have my spirit guides, I think there'd be a bum rush of spirits hitting me when I was wanting to do a reading. I would have to pick out the spirits and everything.
Yeah.
With the spirit guides, they kind of pick out the spirits, and it's not like a state fair in my,
You got some bouncers.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, it, they must be pretty good at it because I do some pretty good things with them. So,
Yeah.
and they've been with me forever. So I I don't I I got to know them when I was real young, and I just grew up with them pretty much. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know what they were until somebody said they were spirit guides. And this was way back
Yeah.
when I was young, also.
Yeah.
And I got a spirit animal. My spirit animal, by the way, is a tarantula.
Ooh,
I was
nice.
born and raised in the desert, and uh, one of the first things I saw when I went out in the desert was a tarantula.
Yeah.
And those things follow me all over. We moved into this house just a little bit ago, and there's a tarantula right there looking up at me like, "Hi, buddy, here I am." And I see him wherever I go.
Yeah.
It's funny. Even up there in Utah, I saw him. So,
Yeah. I love tarantulas too. Spending summers with my grandparents growing up in Sedona, there was all kinds of tarantulas around,
yeah,
and one of my first memories with a tarantula is a good one, where I was with my grandfather, who I believe helps me out and at
yeah,
least comes to visit me. He was doing some work under his house. He had his hand in the crawl space, and he pulled his hand out, and there was a big old tarantula on it. Starting to crawl up his arm, and I was a little freaked out at first, but then
yeah,
he goes, no, 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 no. He goes, just be gentle, and
yeah,
they'll be gentle with you. And so then he put it on
yeah,
my arm, and the thing was crawling up all over me. But I've always,
yeah.
after that, I've always liked tarantulas. So that's cool. That's
Yeah, they're
one
really
thing that
good. They
you
eat
connect with.
insects. They eat insects, and
Yep.
one of the strangest things I saw was one of those tarantula wasps.
Okay.
Uh, I saw a wasp and that tarantula go into battle, and it lasted for about 5 minutes. Unfortunately for my spirit animal, he lost.
Oh no.
Yeah, that tarantula wasp, he couldn't keep up with that stinger.
Yeah.
But
There's certainly, you know, they're pretty graceful animals, and that's pretty interesting. And I don't even know what my spirit animal is. I have a hunch it might be a horse, but
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. But as a medium, I think it's always a challenge to, keep looking within to learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
It's always a challenge, but you have to do that, right? You have to look within
Yeah.
before you look out. And so that's, I'm sure everyone out there who does this kind of work that
I try.
has to do the same thing. Yeah.
I try to be in spirit as much as I can
Yeah.
for me, because you never know. Something might come up, and if you're not in spirit, and you're not in tune.
Yeah.
You just miss it, and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, earlier when you mentioned you didn't know if you were going to offend any of my audience or me because you were bringing up aliens, this is a great place for that. So you were all you're all good with that, because I feel
You know,
I
I
I
never
feel
saw
oh, go ahead.
I never saw a UFO until after I went and saw my grandfather. Then I saw
Oh.
my first UFO in North Phoenix, and this was about 1999, I think it was. And then I saw another one in Utah,
Hmm.
and then I saw another one, and that was just about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I see three of them, and I'm thinking that possibly they saw me a little bit closer. I just don't have a memory of it, but that's
yeah.
all right. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, in your experience when you with your grandfather, that they looked like us, they talked
Yeah,
like us, and so it's, yeah, I believe it's total possibility. I feel like sometimes, I feel like some of my guides are not of this world,
yeah,
and that they are somewhere else. I just don't know exactly who they are, but I I can see them. I can picture them right now. Mostly what they look like. I never really seen their faces. It's always dark, but
yeah.
um so, I totally I'm my mantra is we don't know shit, and anything's possible. So no offense there. Just want to mention that.
you know,
And
there's,
we're go ahead.
you know, there's a little verse in the Bible that says, "Be aware unless you be aware unless you entertain and oh, be aware unless you entertain an angel unaware," something like that. In
Hmm,
other words, you might be talking to somebody and it's an angel and you don't know it. And to me, that could be an alien, because
sure.
I found out that they were just like us.
Yeah. And until we're on the other side and experiencing that, it's I think you just have to be open to the possibilities,
You have
and
to.
wish people would be more open to possibilities out
Yeah.
there. And my gosh, we're getting to the end of the show here. I want to encourage everybody listening and watching the show, go to Amazon, look up Things to Come by Alan Wright, and he's got 8 other books, and there's a lot of content there. So go check that out, get a couple of the books. And Alan, I want to thank you so much for sharing all that you did tonight.
Thank
um,
you for having me.
it was great. So, thank you for sharing all that, because some of it sounds pretty like it was pretty personal for you. But,
It was.
thank you for sharing that. And I want to thank everybody listening and watching as well. And hopefully you'll catch the archive version of this on the website. I also want to thank people behind the scenes for the show. Todd Bates, and he's the station manager here and also the host of Haunted Voices. And just always want to give Todd a shout out for all he does for the show, running in the background, and all the great work he's done on the station website to make it a true experience. And I also want to thank my good friend Michael Beers as well, who's been a big help for the show. And a good friend of mine, and just thanks to those guys for behind the scenes type stuff. And I've got some great guests coming up. Next week, I've got Lyle Blackburn coming on the show. We're going to be talking cryptids and all kinds of spooky stuff, I'm sure. So look for that next Tuesday with Lyle Blackburn. And then I've got psychic Joanne Clarkson coming on the show on October 26th. I'm super excited to have her on. And there may even be some live readings on the show for that one on October 26th. And on November 2nd, I've got Bigfoot researcher and musician Paul Graves coming on the show. And I'm looking forward. We're going to talk some music and how music is kind of intertwined in all facets of our world. So I look forward to talking with him as well. And I've got a lot more shows that are going to be coming up November, and I'll be making announcements about those. But special thanks again to Alan Wright. And I like to leave every show with the toast that the past is history, the future's a mystery, but today's a gift because it's the present. And as we were talking earlier, make sure you take time each day, if you can, even if it's only 5 minutes, be in that moment, be present. Hug the ones you're with. Hug everyone else virtually for a while longer. And we'll see you next week on the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbay, with special guest Alan Wright tonight, episode 39 of the Paranormal Pete Show on WLTK-DB.com. We'll see you next week, folks.